I'm working on a pretty big project, maybe my biggest project ever for the main channel. It's going to be a 60-minute Air Dribble Roadmap, and we're breaking down every single level of Air Dribble mastery, not just, wall to Air Dribble by IP Joker. But here's the thing. I sat down with the pro player named Shock for almost an hour and a half to pick his brain on Air Dribbles. And honestly, the interview alone is so good, and it could be its own video. I was like, let's just upload this for you guys. So for those of you who don't know, Shock, some of you hear that and go, oh, pro player. He was a former pro, season 9 North America MVP, has won, $50-some thousand and, more undocumented, of course. Over 10,000 hours in Rocket League, yada, yada, yada. He knows what he's talking about. He's one of the coaches at the Rocket League Bootcamp channel. But the reason that I love Shock's explanation so much is because for him, mechanics didn't come easy. And so he's really distilled down how he explains this stuff. And it's honestly the best of any coach I've ever worked with. But enough of me glazing the guy. Let's get to the actual content. So what this is a raw, unfiltered interview where I basically grill Shock on everything he's doing, why he's using certain tornado spin techniques, how he reads different setups, what separates good air dribbles from great air dribbles, and like all the little details in training packs that most tutorials skip. This is like a podcast of me trying to be like a 4-year-old that's just like, why? How? And like the current educational content out there is just not good. It's just like lazy pros in free play saying like, monkey see, monkey do. And it's like, if I wanted to go watch you clip, I would just go watch Zen. Like I don't need So this is actual teaching. Main channel Air Dribble Roadmap coming soon. We're gonna have all the normal stuff that you would expect in my like cinematic tutorials. But this is just like raw, uncut, real insights from a pro. So we're gonna publish an entire Air Dribble roadmap with training pack drills, progressions, and all that stuff. But yeah, it's all in the free Discord. Join the free Discord. I will publish a section here. Keep an eye out in the free stuff section for something that says Air Dribble Roadmap. We're gonna release that for you guys soon, completely for free. Shout out everybody on the team who pours into this stuff. And yeah, I think that's everything. Okay, let's get into it. Thank you. Enjoy the video. Can you first tell me why do I need to learn air roll left, air roll right? If I was just gonna say, I don't want to learn air roll left, I don't want to learn air roll right, it seems too difficult. Why do I have to do this? I don't want to do this.
Well, the biggest factor into why directional air roll is important is because free air roll, or joystick air roll, as you might put it, adds a lot of extra human input, which can lead to more mistakes, and you don't have the access in the same way to tornado spin, because tornado spinning, when you use directional air roll, is pushing your analog stick straight to the side, straight to the right with air roll left, straight to the left with air roll right. And the problem with not being able to do that is you don't get access to a lot of the most important and easy consistency building spins that most professional players fit into air dribbles. Which is kind of what you've been seeing me do the last few attempts. If I were to do it with free air roll like this, you don't, even if you push your analog stick to the side, you don't get that same spin. Your car just spins left to right or right to left, which now makes the approach
to look like.
Yeah. So like I can try to like emulate something, but even in order to do that, I have to move my stick kind of all around to even attempt that. So my ability to be consistent, and I used to use free air roll for my first 6,000 hours. I played an RLCS season with free air roll. So I'm very familiar with those limitations. And I can confidently say, just even from personal experience, that directional air roll makes aerial play and air dribbling way simpler.
So it's a funny thing where it's, how do I say this? Intimidating maybe. But once you learn it, it's actually easier and less effort than before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Huh. So when you're spinning without air roll left, you told me I was missing out on a spin. You said I was missing out on tornado spins. All I can see is like when you're tornado spinning, it looks like you're moving 3D. When you're not tornado spin, it looks like you're moving only like 2D, like front and back. Can you explain, like, why is that?
Yeah, that's a kind of an interesting way to put it. I don't think I've heard it that way before. The reason tornado spin kind of looks 3D is because when you do tornado spin, your car faces every part of the field and gains a little bit of tilt from being straight up to kind of on a diagonal. And what that does is it creates this ability to boost and move anywhere on the field during an aerial, versus if I were to jump up and do the same thing, you can see how my nose just pointed straight up if I move my analog stick the same way, right?
Yeah.
Or, I was doing it to the right, so it looked like this. So now I don't get that tilt of the car. So now I'm moving in one less direction, and I get less ability to approach the ball from underneath the same way I would with directional. So that's why it looks so much different and so much more efficient to get underneath the ball with tornado spin / directional air roll.
Ah, that's interesting. It's like tornado spin lets you move in 3 axes, 3D, whereas if you only have joystick air roll, you can only move in 2 axes at any given time. So you can't,
right?
So you can't turn and do all that fluid movement as quickly.
Right. Exactly.
Interesting. Okay, I'm convinced I need to use air roll left when I'm flying, but help me understand just how do I get off the ground? I'm a noob. I don't know how to even take off with air roll left, let alone stay in the air. So I noticed you're doing this thing at the start of every air dribble. Like when you make the touch, you're almost like tornado spinning from the get-go. How do I do that without losing control?
Yeah, so a lot of what that is about setup, which has already kind of been covered in the last part, where it's just very simple, getting an air dribble towards the net. So your setup does have to be consistent. You'll notice most times, like a high majority of the time that I do this setup, even while I'm talking, is it goes towards the net in some capacity, right? That's kind of the biggest thing, because if your setup is ridiculously horrible, it looks like this, doesn't matter what spin you do, your air dribble's not going to be good. So that's the first thing. But to kind of launch off the wall with tornado spin back towards the ball each time, what I'm doing is I'm keeping my movement super minimal. A lot of people get caught up practicing this wrong, where they're trying to really feel it out, so their stick nonstop moves. And micro adjustments like that are much more important in the back half in an air dribble, not the approach. So we're using tornado spin. It's to approach the ball in a consistent and easy way that works well off the wall. And then your micro adjustments that aren't tornado spin, which, are a lot of little small movements. Like when I get to the ball, you're going to see me do a lot of little movements with my analog stick, which is, a different thing. What we're talking about is the approach and keeping it consistent and easy. So how we do that is once we jump off the wall, I go straight right with my analog stick, which is tornado spin with air roll left. And then obviously it's the opposite with air roll right. And what that does is it points my nose down and forward. You'll notice that if I just stop the air dribble, right? I stop right here. You'll notice that as I come around, I get to this point where I kind of find and align my car with the ball. And at that point, we're good to go and boost towards the ball. And you'll notice that we're boosting underneath the ball because tornado spin has oriented us that way. So us being able to tornado spin right away off the wall puts us in that position where we can find our nose back towards the ball right away. And that creates a really easy air dribble. Like if I were to do this without spinning any more than just that initial spin off the wall, which is about a 3/4 spin, right? I spin until I'm like kind of sideways, and I spin until I'm face forward. So it's like 3/4 of a spin. I do that, and then I don't spin anymore. I just boost back towards it. Okay, I didn't pull my nose up in time. But I do this, I go back towards it. You'll notice that I'm lined up underneath the ball and faced right towards it, and I can bring it easily to the net. So that's the long-winded way of, why I'm tornado spinning right as I come off the wall. It is super easy and consistent to get back underneath the ball.
So you're basically using tornado spin same way for the same duration every time to make like that setup touch and that getting in line with the ball more consistent. Because then it looks like your car's moving in a bunch of different directions, but really with your hands, you're just holding air roll left and pushing your joystick to the right until you find that line. So it's really just one combo you're doing.
Yes, it is always one combo. And obviously when your setup varies, your movement has to vary a little bit. It's not always going to be ideal. But when we're talking about like ideal, we're practicing it this way setup. Yes, when I come off the wall, I'm immediately pushing my stick to tornado spin just a little bit, and I'm holding it there and I'm doing it each time. And then the micro adjustments come after that. But like I said, that's, something separate.
Okay. I noticed that like when you air dribble, you keep spinning. Like, are you continuing to tornado spin, or what's happening there with your hands?
Yeah, so it depends on where I am in relation to the ball. A lot of the time I will stop tornado spinning, and I want to be, again, super crystal clear, because this gets easily confused and then people get mad. It's like, oh, I actually see you doing a bunch of little other spins after. We're talking about approach. So yes, on approach here, I am still spinning somewhat, like as I reach the ball. So tornado spin is before I reach the ball, and then once I've kind of reached the ball here, I will do some other small spins based on where I want to bring the ball. So if I want to bring this ball more left, I might spin a little bit more so that I get on the right side of the ball, right? Or if I want to bring it this way, I'm going to spin maybe a little bit more to make sure I bring it this way, right? So those little spins after are more like getting my orientation to push the ball a certain direction. But if we're talking about getting right behind the ball and then not spinning, this is what that would look like, and that would bring you right towards the net. So the little spins after that you kind of see me doing naturally as I talk while I do this is more about, akin to how I would shoot something in game, trying to avoid a defender. But, in terms of our most simplistic, like what we're trying to focus on, yeah, you could, and I would start practicing just doing this, what I'm doing on this attempt right here, which is not bringing it over the net, hopefully, which is this. Just stop spinning as you get approach towards it, and then push it straight forward. That's going to be your simplest start.
Tornado spin, find that line, continue going.
Yep.
You're using air roll left tornado spin on the right wall. If you're on the left wall, would you use the other air roll? Would you flip it?
You could. It is actually a matter of preference. I don't actually have arrow right bound, so I couldn't. So I use arrow left on both sides. You absolutely do not need both directional arrows to do it. It just the kind of how long you have to spin changes. So on the left wall here, because I'm using arrow left, my nose actually gets pointed back at the ball right away when I start tornado spinning like that. So you actually don't have to do it as long. Now we're here. And we're already where we were when we had to do 3/4 of a spin. Personally, sometimes I will do more of a spin anyway, because I actually find it more comfortable on the right wall / doing a longer spin, to really align myself with the ball. I find that easier to do. But yeah, you absolutely don't have to do one directional off one wall and one off the other. It's a total preference thing in that regard, and you don't have to make a new bind or something like that if you don't have one or the other bound.
So for you, it looks like you're obviously comfortable with air roll left, so that quarter extra of a spin or half extra of a spin is not consequential, at least at least here.
Right, and you could argue some sort of very slim margin at a very high level you should be using both, but for the average player, the average person, or any advanced player, that kind of margin doesn't really come into play. That kind of margin is more important at the semi-pro pro level, which don't need this guide. So
yeah,
right.
Yeah, they're probably on level 5 or 6.
They're past level 5. They're on level 1,000,000.
Okay, so I think I understand how to go from my plat air dribble to tornado spin takeoffs. So you're using tornado spin, you're finding the line, and you're letting go of the joystick input of the tornado spin input, at least as drastically. And then oftentimes you will either continue spinning and doing slight adjustments or not spinning at all.
Right. You do not want to be tornado spinning through your contact. You don't want to be approaching a tornado and then continuing and then have it look like this. It doesn't work because you're already adequately underneath the ball. And if you keep tornado spinning, you're going to keep going down, you're not going to hit it properly from underneath, and you're going to be unable to control it. So do not just continue to tornado spin. I'd really, when you start, keep it to one tornado, get face back towards the ball, and then work from there.
This is the basics. We can do this same tornado spin adjustment every time because the ball is glued to the wall, it's rolling very nicely, and we only need corrections if we want them.
And I do want to add a quick note that I did not. One last thing that I didn't mention is that I'm not pushing my stick all the way to the barrier to the right when the ball's in front of me like this, because that really exaggerates your left and right movement. As you can see, I'm just letting the spin go. Your car stays out left and right more than it does if you just push it halfway. So you don't need all that left and right movement with tornado spin. So just push it halfway. You do just a more tight tornado spin, and that's better for an air dribble that's in front of you. And you only exaggerate when the ball's kind of behind you back here. And that way I need more of that slow down left and right to let the ball catch back up with me. So that's kind of an important note on the approach as well.
Let's jump into Air Dribble Gym. This is going to be level 3, the wall setup portion. So the question that I'm trying to understand is, I watched the intro part where we were like, okay, if the ball's falling off the wall, that changes when I jump. If it's rising, that changes when I jump. But like, what does that actually mean in practice? Take me through a bunch of like these, specifically the first touches on all these different balls, and walk me through like what you're thinking on each shot. Okay.
So yeah, so this is kind of the 18 here is the first one, at least in my order of the pack, where it's rolling up the wall. What I'm thinking of balls back here is that I want it both very much forward and high. What I don't want is for the first touch to look where I come up and kind of swoop underneath it like this, because now I'm not moving very fast. It's gonna be really hard for me to get all the way to the net here, no matter how good your control or your air roll is. So I'm really focusing on lofting the ball high and forward like this. And as you can see now, I don't have to do that much. And I will actually let this one play again to kind of drive the point home, as I'm focusing on being more behind it than one that I'm closer to the net. The farther away you are from the net, and of course this only applies to things we're trying to take towards the net, right? If you're ever going to avoid a defender a different way, then the variables change. But if we're trying to bring this towards the net, then I'm going to make sure that I'm much more behind it and I'm hitting it hard, high, and forward, so that I don't have to do as much to stay underneath the ball.
So the further back we are on the field, the more behind the ball we want to be on these first touches.
Yes. Think of it as a clock, right? When you're back here, like in terms of your relation to the ball, center of the bottom of the ball is 6 o'clock, and we're on this side, for example, then we're going to want to be hitting it at like 8 or 9 o'clock, like the back third of the ball.
So like if you move closer to the net, how does that change? Like maybe there's an example of one that's rolling closer, and these you might even have to set up yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, you might have to set these up yourself. Well, this one's at halfway. So on a ball that's halfway, I'm now going to start being more focused on hitting it upwards rather than forward. Your defenders are going to be back towards the net most of the time. So we don't want to just push the ball at them. If I do the same thing I did in the other one and I focus on being behind it, it starts looking like this. And okay, that one is obviously really bad, but the point does stand that like, I'm going to struggle to keep the ball high in that scenario and not be easy to challenge. So I want to focus on popping the ball more high, even if it's really far away from me. I'm going to have more success doing that and focusing more hitting it around like that 6, 7 o'clock area, more centered underneath the ball, so that I go high first and then forward is what I'm going to be thinking about doing, because we're closer to the net.
Yeah, I think the clock is really helpful here. It's like when you're back on your side, you want to hit behind the ball. When we're in the midfield, let's say right around mid boost, we want to be near under the ball, somewhere around 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's almost like if you get close enough to the net, you almost want to start to take it away from the net on your first touch.
Right. Actually, not to take away from this pack, but actually while the air dribble has a really good one that's close to the net, this one here, I'm actually going to take it a little bit away from the net. You can see I'm actually hitting more on the left side of the ball, and I'm taking it out first and then towards the net. And I'm still doing the same thing with my tornado spin. I'm still tornado spinning up to this, but now my angle has changed because I popped the ball off the wall differently, right? Yeah, the closer we are to it, or to the net that is, the more around it and underneath we need to get. So yeah, you can think of it as like your back half, you want to be hitting behind and underneath. About midfield, you want to be hitting mostly straight underneath, and then close to the net, you want to be hitting actually on the other side of the ball and bringing it out first.
Yeah, it's a great insight, because like if you take this shot and you hit it anywhere from behind, you just drill it into the corner, and it doesn't.
Yeah, like here,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So I thought initially that we would only want to take the ball back towards our side to come around and score when we're in the corner. But it's actually not that way. If you're like, I don't know, in your opponent's third, that first touch needs to be back and around and then come closer to the ball.
Yeah, and that's mostly because you got to avoid backboard defenders too. Like obviously you're cutting off your own angle if you hit it too far forward. But like even here, like I can technically get it to net, but it's so easy for a defender at backboard just to jump at me when I'm this close to them, right?
Yeah.
But how hard is it for a defender to jump out at me when I'm all the way out here and I grab a reset first, right? obviously that's a little advanced, but even just like an air dribble, like if I pop it out first and I'm out this way, it's much harder for this guy to jump out at me because I can be bringing it around him more.
Yeah, I guess if you ever took an air dribble like near the net on your first touch, you just get shut down immediately by a good player.
Yep.
Okay, so we covered, back half behind the ball, closer to the net, midfield, under the ball. On your opponent's half, even hit it back towards your net on your first touch a little bit, then swing around the ball. Can we approach all of those shots, but from a different lens? And instead of the lens of angle that we hit the ball, talk to me through the moment that you're tapping jump based on these different shots. Not where you're connecting with the ball, but when you're using your jump timing.
Yeah, so when I'm jumping is kind of defined about more like where the ball is on the wall, more than anything. So most of the time I'm trying to jump, if possible, as I'm hitting it, and I'm trying to hit it like around where the kind of the lip ends on the wall. Like on this one, for example, I'm trying to jump here, where that's kind of just rode up the lip of the wall, and my nose is reaching it. I want my first touch to be my jump. And then there's an alternate way to do it. If you're in a really awkward spot, like this is usually when you have longer to go. So I'll actually go back here. Like what you could also do is pop it first, wait on the wall, and then jump out after it. That's also a viable way to air dribble. You'll do that more when you need to make sure that you're gonna get height, and jumping first might risk you like popping it too high and now being in a really tough spot. This will give you some more flexibility on some, especially like if you're not sure if you're gonna get challenged high and early or not by a defender. You can pop it out, wait and see, and then jump out. And that'll give you, obviously hoping to get underneath it, not like I just did there. Because if you pop it out too far like this, you're gonna struggle. So you still wanna loft it high with that pop. It should look like this, and now we're able to get underneath it in a meaningful way.
So it seems on these shots, when the ball's rolling up the wall nicely, we can mostly save our jump until after. If we don't we can get a good first touch without jumping if we don't want. So usually when you're farther away from defenders and you're farther away from the net, because when you pop the ball out here, if there's a defender close to you, it might just go, and then you might just be shooting it instead of air dribbling it, right? So defenders are far away from you, you have time and space on the wall, and it would make it less awkward to just hit it out first and then jump out after. You absolutely can do that. But on something closer to the net, you're definitely wanting to more so jump right away with it and get back to the ball quickly to not give defenders a free challenge. That makes sense. So when the ball is rolling up the wall and it's glued in this way, we have two options. Alexa, off. I didn't ask you. Alexa, off. Okay, recap. My brain so what I'm understanding is ball rolling up wall, two options. I can make my first touch, then jump shortly after, or jump with my first touch. Both can work.
Yes.
These are all nice.
Good. It's good to be good at both.
Right. These balls are all nice because I noticed you're connecting with every one of these touches when the ball is still rolling up. So you're hitting all of these first touches in what we called earlier phase 1, which is the climb portion.
Right.
How does that change when the ball's in phase 2 or even phase 3, falling down?
When the ball kind of starts falling like this, we need to get more underneath it than previously. Because if I try to do the same thing, the ball just goes out because the ball's already falling and not really connected to the wall. So because obviously if I go at this right away and don't let it fall, I can approach from back here. The ball still lifts. But if I do that same thing, but I just slow down a little bit and let it fall, now it looks like that, right? So we need to make more of an effort to be slow and underneath the ball when the ball is beginning to fall, because our first touch needs to go high to air dribble. So you'll notice on these, I'm letting the ball fall. I'm slowing down here, but I'm underneath it. So my first touch goes high first. And that tornado spin logic still works. I'll jump with this ball, tornado spin right out after it, and then I'll be here.
So what I'm seeing is if you hit the ball while it's climbing, you don't really have to be under it because it's already climbing, so it's gonna go high. But if the ball starts to fall and you hit it later, now we have to be deliberately applying force from underneath the ball, or else it doesn't pop. It'll just fall to the ground.
Correct, yes.
One more component here that I think is important, jump timing. Because the ball is starting to fall off, like once it hits apex, phase 2, phase 3, it starts to slowly fall off the wall. as it's falling, we're noticing there's separation between the ball and the wall. I'm noticing you're almost always tapping jump here. You're like, when the ball's already falling, you very rarely will just hit it and then jump after.
Right. Yeah,
Why
because if I don't jump, because when I jump, I get separation from the wall as well, and I'm more underneath it. If you don't jump, like especially when it's falling off the wall and you just drive, it goes out. It no longer lofts up and forward. So you need to match kind of you need to match your car's separation from the wall with the ball's separation from the wall by jumping. And that will give you that touch that lofts high forward and with you.
So that's why you have the option to delay your jump if the ball's glued to the wall, or tap jump immediately after. But if the ball's already falling off, you don't really have the option. You got to jump with it, or else you're going to hit the ball to the midfield and your first touch won't be a pop-up.
Right, exactly.
Very useful. Take me through some other shots in this pack, maybe some more advanced ones, and walk me through your thought process.
Okay. Yeah, so what I'm focusing on with the self setup, which is much harder than the ball setting up perfectly for you, is I'm focusing on manually creating separation between me and the ball. So you'll notice that like on one that goes to the wall by itself, I can just drive up to the wall and then hit it up. There's no, other than matching the pace of the ball, there's no other speed control I need to do. I just come up here, okay, I brake to match the speed of the ball, and then I jump with it, right? But with something self set up, you can't just drive with it. You can't just do this. You'll notice the ball is like bouncing as I hit it, and it comes off the wall unclean. And that creates a really difficult attempt at an air dribble. So what I'm going to focus on these more advanced self setups is I'm going to make sure that after I hit it with enough pace, I actually brake right after and let myself separate from the ball to kind of recreate how that self setup looked. So you'll notice that I kind of tap it, brake, and now I have that separation, and now I can do the same thing I was doing on the other ones. So the key with the self setups is to manually create separation by tapping the ball ahead of you, braking, and then approaching it.
It's like a timing mechanism. You're like creating 1 to 2 car lengths of space between your car and the ball, and then you approach the wall.
Yep, and then it just completely emulates. And you don't risk the ball like bouncing. Like if you hit it again too close to the wall, it bounces like that, and that can be useful in certain types of setups. But we're talking about normal air dribble setups. You don't want to be doing that. So yeah, you tap it towards the wall, you brake and separate, and then you follow it like you would on any other normal like non-self setup.
That makes a lot of sense. So we try not to stay glued to the ball. I think that's important. Not enough people know that.
Right.
How can we use our dodges here to be a little bit more efficient with boost? I'm imagining we're getting chased, right?
Okay.
Or we need to set up this, air dribble under speed. There's somebody to our left. We've got to hit the ball out in front of them and then go get it. How do you do that without just like driving and relying on using a 100 boost?
Yeah, that's a good question. So usually you're going to do some form of flip into the ball. Sometimes that can be a wave dash like that. If you have already the correct distance, like you don't want to wave dash too close. Try to do that too close because you're just going to like doing that on the ball. It's not going to work. So you have to be adequately far away. And even then because I'm not actually very good at it. I don't like doing it this way very much because I risk kind of like wheeling the ball.
Yeah.
That's a very specific kind of play, and you have to really make sure you tap your jump button not too hard, because again, if you tap your jump button too hard at any time like this, your wheels are gonna improperly hit. So you have to be like behind it like that. So you have to really jump soft and be way behind the ball, and even then, like again, like your contact with the ball could recoil you. I find that's usually suboptimal. What I'm usually gonna go for is some sort of speed flip and then follow it. So like if I have someone on me or on my left and I need to get this to the wall quick, I'm going to diagonal flip the ball the way I want the ball to go. So say I want this ball to go a little bit left so I can grab the boost on my landing and then follow it. I'm going to drive with this ball. I'm going to speed flip, hit it with the back of my car, land, grab this boost, and then approach the ball.
I see. So the specific timing on that, it almost looks like, I guess there are 2 ways to do this. You could hit the ball with the roof of your car on the speed flip. So you time the animation so that the top half of your car smushes it down, or you can connect with the nose on the speed flip.
Yeah. The nose will give you more power. So you could do it that way. The ball will go higher. So if you want the ball to go high, you're going to hit it with your nose. It'll come up about this height. I mean, it gets a lot of height, and that can sometimes be harder. If I want the ball to not go as high, I'm going to hit it with the back of my car. It'll roll a little nice and soft, and now it's going halfway up the wall, and that feels a little bit better to me usually. Obviously, there's times you need it to go high to beat a defender, so in that case, I would be using my nose, yes. But normally, if I have that tiny bit of time and I don't want to hit it that high, I'll use kind of the back of my car on that speed flip instead of my nose. it's a good point.
Makes a lot of sense. So we're most often speed flipping or using a dodge to play to the ball to the wall. That's nice because it kind of creates that separation for us. We land behind.
Yeah, it does.
And so we don't have to worry about timing our drive or accidentally chipping the ball into the wall and it bouncing off, all this other stuff.
Yeah, and if I land too fast and I'm too close to the ball, like say I just hit it really soft and I'm too close, I will break as I land to make sure I get that separation if I need it. I'll be here, it's kind of too close, I'll break. Okay, now I'm adequately away from it and this becomes easier.
So that's how we can use dodges to do the same thing. And I see you use a front flip in the case where you can't.
This I would not recommend against. I was just messing around.
Speed flip.
Definitely speed flip. Definitely. Yeah, definitely speed flip.
But Luke, I don't know how to speed flip. Why are you watching my air dribble tutorial? Get out of here.
Time to get the speed flip tutorial going. So on something that separates more from the wall than we'd like this one. As you can see, this one comes up, but it kind of separates off. And this is how a lot of your in-game air dribble attempts or opportunities actually will be, which can be a little bit annoying, no doubt. But it's kind of the nature of the game. You're not always going to get the setup you want. So any ball that's more separated from the wall, I'm going to jump earlier. Again, we're just trying to match the distance of our car from the wall to be the same as the ball from the wall. So the farther the ball is away from the wall, the earlier I'm going to jump to make sure that I'm hitting underneath it. Because if you jump too late, like if I jump normally how I would at this, it looks like that. Like if I'm jumping like the ball is glued to the wall, I'm going to hit out because I'm jumping too late. So instead, I'm going to come up here, I'm going to jump a little bit earlier and get it pointed towards the net. And obviously you have to make sure you're underneath it. That last one wasn't great for me. This is the one you wanted to be emulating. On this one, you'll see that I jump, it's about like maybe a half car's length away from the ball instead of right on it. So that creates that separation from the wall alongside it, so that I'm able to actually hit underneath it towards the net like this.
I see. So you're using jump to create that separation between you and the wall. That way you're in the same spot the ball is when you hit it.
Yes.
That's nice. What happens if I jump too early here?
If you jump too early, then, well, way too early looks like that. But if you jump even a little bit too early, you're kind of hitting it forward. Way too early would look like more than a car's length away. Like this. That's what that would end up looking like. So it is a fine kind of line. And, you know, these are difficult. And, you know, this is why it's kind of an advanced thing. You really need to get and practice. You need to get a sense of when should I be jumping in order to accomplish hitting underneath the ball. You always want to think about air dribbles as where's my nose? How do I get it underneath the ball as a start, right? Because it's not a good air dribble if you're only behind it. You want to be underneath it like this, right? So if I can get my nose pointed up underneath the ball, then I'm doing, you know, I'm giving my air dribble a chance at least, right?
Yes. These setups are really helpful. I think a shot like this ties it all together.
Absolutely.
We're tapping jump. On this one, just to clarify, is it a tap or is it a hold? What's the distance?
A tap still.
This is a tap. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so the only times I'm really holding my jump button are when I want to do a ceiling shot. Like, because when you hold your jump button, you rise up to the ceiling like this.
Yeah, you continue to gain a little more height, don't you?
You gain momentum, and even if I don't boost through it, you'll notice if I really hit the jump button hard, I'm going up more. And even if I hold air dribble after, I'm still going up, you see?
Yeah.
So I don't want to be hitting my jump button hard on these. I want to be very, very lightly tapping them. And that will give me the opportunity to stay underneath the ball.
Nice. So these are all, even a ball that this far off the wall is still a tap. That's useful to know.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one wall setup. Are there any other wall setups in this pack that would be interesting to look at?
So this is one that is actually going to stick on the wall mostly, but it's going to stick low. And these can be really hard to get up and towards the net like you're seeing me do here, because they're so low. So again, when we're this far away and the ball's this low, we're wanting to make sure we're getting underneath it, but we're also going to need pace. This is kind of one of those differentiators between someone who's okay at air dribbling and someone who's good at it. Because knowing that, okay, we're far away, I need to be behind it, but this is low to the wall, so I also need to be underneath it, and moving with pace is kind of where the variables start kicking in. So, you know, here I'm thinking about hitting more like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or not even really 8 o'clock, more like 7 o'clock. Because if I'm hitting 8, 9 o'clock back here, it just goes forward. So I'm focusing on being underneath it, but moving with a little bit more pace like this so that the ball lofts high and forward when the ball's that low to the ground. And that's where, you know, a lot of practice is required. You're not going to be a master at this right away because, you know, the variables, there are a lot of them, and you need to learn how to approach the ball differently based on them.
Separation between the ball and the wall, how high it is up the wall, how far behind the ball we are. It seems this one is hard because your car is so far away from the setup and you have to catch up to it. And by the time you get to it, it's already falling down. So we have to use our jump and we're far from the net.
Yeah. So you have that kind of mix where we need at least a moderate pace. Because if I slow down too much and I just tap, that's what happens, right? So I need to be moving with pace, with the right angle underneath the ball, and then get underneath it afterwards, right? So that's what makes it so challenging. And, you know, even on something like this, like obviously I'm washed, but, you know, I'm not going to be able to do it every time because, you know, there's just some innate challenge to it where all the little minute movements can give some trouble, especially in game.
Any other shots in this pack? This is really, really helpful. I see how all the variables counteract each other.
Yeah, and this one's actually quite different from the other one that we just talked about. So this one is closer to the net, past the midfield line, but it also is moving rather fast and comes off the wall a little bit. So in this one, we're going to employ what we employed on shot 2, which is we're going to need to jump a little bit away from the ball to make sure we get underneath it. But on this one, because the ball's moving so fast and we're so close to the net, I'm going to be slowing down way more to touch this. You'll notice that I almost hit like a full break right before I touch it because I need to make sure that I don't hit it too fast at my opponent's net.
Interesting. Because the ball's already rolling at you so quickly and it's still on the rise when we connect with it, we almost want to transfer no power to it.
Exactly. It should look like that. And to keep it real simple, not even spin after, I'll let this one play. It should look like this, where you drive up the wall, you brake to really slow down and match the pace, and softly tap underneath it so you're not bringing it to the net too fast.
I think that's a great example of how you also add the tornado spin takeoffs.
Yeah.
11 or 12. Is that all for the wall setups?
There's this one that's much closer, and then obviously this one comes off the wall. So those same things apply as the other ones that come off the wall. But, you know, again, the biggest thing is like, I don't want to hit it forward. Like if I bring it this way, it's really difficult. Like I can bring it towards net, but you're going to be an easy challenge from a defender backboard, right? So I want it more out over here like this. And this way it's harder for a defender to challenge me, or at least I'm getting a better 50 out of the air, or I'm giving myself a chance to reset because I'm far enough away from the backboard, right? So, you know, really you're focusing on, again, the kind of where you are underneath it. And obviously you still have the match pace. Of course, I am braking before I touch this because the ball is moving slowly, kind of like the last one, where this ball kind of comes up the wall fast and then slows down. So we need to match its pace and not hit it too hard.
I love this. This is bringing in all the variables. You're tapping jump, you're taking the ball to the midfield, you're matching your speed to the ball, and that allows you to get that perfect first touch. You have to combine all the variables. If you have any of them wrong, the touch is wrong.
Yep.
Brilliant. Only thing I want to get into now is ground air dribbles. So I would love to talk about a couple different setups. There are, in ground air dribbles, you have chip to dribble, which is like that. You chip the ball up, fast aerial, dribble it. We have the ball's on the car, then you pop it, like you're almost carrying into air dribble. Then we have bouncing setups.
Right.
Walk me through, I mean, what order do we even go in? What's the easiest, I suppose? Or what's the most logical? Maybe we start with the ball in the car, although I don't think that's the easiest.
I don't think that's the easiest. I think with the ball in the car and then transitioning that into good is actually really hard.
Yeah, really.
I think the easiest is probably the chip.
To the ceiling like that. Most people cannot do that.
Yeah. I think the easiest is the chip.
I think so too. We'll start with the chipped air dribble, then we'll do like the carry to air dribble, and then like maybe some bouncing setups too.
Sure. So the big thing with chipping it up to yourself and then double jumping underneath, it's mostly two things. It's how hard I chip it, right? So if I chip it too soft, I can't get underneath it adequately. It's impossible. So you do need to chip it both close to yourself, but also with height. So that's more what it should look like, where we're just doing a little drive into it at the start where it's going to pop above us. And then the second and probably most important part is when we're timing our second jump of our aerial to pop the ball further higher. So what I'm focusing on is when I'm doing this, I'm watching my nose as I approach the ball, and I'm making sure that my nose is underneath it. So we want to hit the ball behind it and underneath it. So we don't want to be straight underneath it, but we also don't want to be way behind it. When we're way behind it, it looks like this. And when we're way underneath it, it looks like this. So both of those results, we can't really air dribble with. So we want to be the same amount behind it and underneath it. So the ball lofts high and up above us so that we can continue the air dribble and like that. And what I'm doing to do that is I'm watching my nose on approach and I'm waiting to see when I should jump my second time here so that it continues. And I'll even, if you do it right, you don't even have to really air roll to it, as you can see on that one, and I'll let it play. Ball pops, double jump, and you'll notice that I time my second jump with my first contact of the ball after I've chipped it. I'm not flying up to it and then trying to jump after. Creates way too much complication. I'm using that second jump to create pop so then I can further be underneath the ball and bring it higher.
That makes a lot of sense. So there's two Goldilocks zones. Firstly, we need to hit the ball just right, not too hard so that way it flies away from us, not too soft because we need to get under it. Can you show me the first Goldilocks zone, which is that optimal first touch, which I think was right there?
Yeah, this one was a good one. What I'm thinking about when I go to chip it, especially in a ball moving this slowly, is that I'm gonna break first. You don't have to full break per se, but I'm gonna be moving really slowly, and I'm just gonna do a tiny little push of drive and boost into it to get that pop, because the ball's moving so slowly, I need to give it a little bit of go. Because if I just drive into it and I don't boost, I'm gonna struggle a little bit, or if I'm not driving into it enough at all, there's no way I'm giving myself any room to get underneath it or the momentum it needs to continue bringing it forward. And obviously you also can't just be driving in it really fast. You can do this and you might be able to get underneath the ball sometimes. But you see the problem is I have to use so much boost to catch up to it. And now I'm no longer even really air dribbling it. I'm just jumping again and aerialing for it. And now it's really hard to air dribble in any sort of controlled way. So I'm in that in between where I'm going to be slow and I'm just going to give a little bit of drive and boost as I hit it. And that creates this, like on this one, this kind of perfect zone where I can control it with some precision like this.
That's brilliant.
Yep.
So that's the Goldilocks zone for the chip. Then the second key that I saw was the timing of the second jump. So that second jump is pushing us through the ball, almost like resisting the recoil of the ball. It's not before, it's not after.
As.
Nice. It's right as you hit the ball. Boom.
Yep, and I'm also really just focused on bringing my nose up enough, right? Because if I kind of just double jump, I'm going to hit it with the top of my hood. I want to be faced underneath it and popping it. Okay, that one's a little too far behind it. Underneath it like that so it gets tight. Now we're in a spot where we can actually do something with it.
Makes a lot of sense. Show me like this ball where it's rolling faster. What's the difference?
Yeah. On this ball rolling faster, I actually am not going to really boost into it or accelerate into it as I chip it. I'm going to more so let the ball hit me than me hit the ball. So I'm just going to do like a real slow drive it. You see it gets plenty of pop anyways, right? And on a ball that pops this high, you'll notice it's impossible really to get your second jump as you hit it. It's going to be slightly before. You just want to get it as close as possible to when you hit it. You don't want to double jump too early and then have to fly up to it. You're going to get a really heavy touch a lot of the time. And then obviously you try to hold it and hit it. It's going to be really difficult too. So, I'm going to treat it the same way, but my jump isn't always going to be right as I hit it because the ball's high. That's okay. Just trying to keep it around that same timing and feel as close to the ball for that second jump as we can. But yeah, for the chip, I'm mostly letting the ball hit me with a tiny little bit of drive into it versus on the other one where I'm doing a little bit of boost and more of a hard accelerate into it to give it height.
I think that's super useful because most of the time the ball's rolling at you in the game, you actually don't need to be driving quick to get these control setups.
100%.
Very helpful. Show me one or two more chips on different setups. Let's see if there's any other chip setups in here.
Yeah, there's this one. It's very similar to the first one though. There is, I think the last, we can go to realistic air dribbles here real quick. You'll see. When they're coming to the side of you and you have a bit more of an angle to the net, what I'm looking to do, and obviously this one's moving fast, so I can more so let it hit me than me hit it, like we just discussed. But what I'm focusing on is I'm going to use my corner to aim towards the net and cut the ball towards the net. I think that's kind of the last key. A lot of your setups will be like this too, where they're coming at an angle. What you can't do is just kind of drive forward into it like this, and then that happens. Then you're not even threatening your opponent, right? So use that corner to kind of make a line between the net and you and push it through the ball, and that will bring you towards the net.
Very nice. Yeah, because if the ball enters at one angle, it's going to leave at the same angle.
Yep, and obviously, if possible, like on this one, ball's moving slowly, I will, try to get around it and pop it forward this way so that I can bring it instead of giving I'm not trying to give myself a hard angle like this if I don't have to. If I can get around it in time and do it this way, I absolutely will.
There are some slight variations of chip to air dribble, like, okay, instead of the ball rolling at me, what if the ball is we could do on the car or bouncing? What do you want to do first?
So the key with on the car is it's much different than a flick. Obviously, when you have the ball on your car and you're wanting to flick, the ball's up here. But if you try to double jump with it, okay, that one worked out really well. Normally doesn't. If you try to do it up here with the flick, I don't know why I'm doing it so well. It usually looks like this, where the ball is too far forward, and when you go to pop it, there's no way to actually get underneath it, and it's really easy to save. So what we want to focus on mostly is having the ball more on top of our car. You can kind of think of it as your back wheels inside the ball indicator, and then you just do a double jump. So back wheels inside the ball indicator, double jump, and then we lift up. What you don't want to do, so the difference between the chip and then on the car is you don't want to tilt up right away. If you tilt up right away when you do this, one, you might backflip. But two, if you do it right after that second jump, you end up moving your car too far back like this, and then you can't actually keep pushing the ball forward. So what I'm focusing on after I double jump is letting my car just kind of separate from the ball, and then I'll tilt up underneath it. And hopefully I've created enough distance for myself, created that manual separation from the ball, where I then can get underneath the ball with my nose and continue an air dribble.
That's interesting. So first off, make sure the ball's not out in front of your car, but it's in the middle. Good checkpoint for that is back wheels in the ball indicator. That way you get the ball up, not forward. Then I'm also hearing when you do the fast aerial takeoff, you're actually not pulling your joystick down immediately. You're holding your fast aerial takeoff, big pop, then pull back once the ball's separated.
Yes.
I see. And that gets
And this is also where tornado spin. Yeah, this is also where tornado spin comes into play too. A lot of times the ball will be kind of right above you. So being able to use tornado spin and boost behind you a little bit to get behind it again, like this. That one wasn't very high, but that did illustrate the point. I was using that one, I was not set up properly. Pop it, and then I need to get behind it a little bit. I can use tornado spin to do that. That was a really good example of it. I'll let it play. The ball's right above me, so it's really hard to air dribble. I do one tornado spin that brings my car back a little bit, and now I'm behind it again, and now the air dribble's possible. That's another kind of key point on that.
Brilliant. Yeah, if you don't have tornado spin there, you pull your joystick back to slow down, and you push it forward, and it's too laggy, it's too floaty, it's too delayed. You're not quick enough. So tornado spin can be used for that mid-air speed control if you don't get the perfect setup. Just another reason why air roll helps correct.
Yes.
Fantastic. Pop to air dribble is, I think, just a matter of spamming the timing, right?
Yeah, it mostly is just kind of doing it over and over. And obviously you're going to want to be able to do it at different angles too. And second, don't spam your jump button. Don't just do it twice. It should be more of a cadence, more of a 1-2, jump.
This is definitely
and
a
you'll
hold.
get more height that way.
This is definitely a hold on the first jump. Max the jump timer, then use the second one, then start leaning back.
Yes, should look like that. Yeah.
Great. So ball rolling at us, level 1 of ground to air dribble. Ball on top of our car, level 2. One example I know that comes up a lot in game, ball bouncing. There are a couple setups here. Walk me through these last, shots 11 through 16, all these, how our setup changes.
Yeah. So when the ball is bouncing, can go back here. When the ball is bouncing, okay, this one, you're not supposed to let it bounce, or this one, or that one, so this one. When I'm focusing on when the ball is chipping, or I'm going to chip it because the ball is bouncing, is I'm focusing on, again, I'm trying to time my first contact with my second jump. So here it's jump. You'll notice it gets height because I'm using my second jump to give it pop. If we don't do that and we just single jump, it can work, but you'll be much slower to the ball like that and it'll require more boost. So we really want to be doing that jump. You'll notice I'm keeping my distance from the ball and then double jumping into it rather than being right next to it and then trying to do it really slowly. So I'm using that jump and a double jump and a drive forward. Okay, that was too much. That double jump and a drive forward to bring the ball forward just like this. That was the ideal setup that I did just there. I'll let it play. I drive up just a little bit right before it's going to bounce. I use that double jump as my first touch. And then from there, it's pretty straightforward, like any other air dribble that we've done. You know, this one's the same thing, just on the other side. Okay, that one I hit a little high, but you definitely want to be airing on the side of high rather than forward. If you hit it too far forward, it ends up looking like this. And, you know, there's no way to get underneath the ball again. So there's no play to make.
We have to stand underneath the ball to make the play, to make it recoverable.
Yeah. And even if you mess it up, hit it too high like I just did right there, or maybe like this, where it's kind of too high, you could still possibly make a play out of it. You know, I'm still underneath it. It's still hard for my opponents to challenge. Maybe I can make a reset. Maybe they mess up on their challenge and something good happens. You know, you'd rather err on the side of high on these rather than forward. Unless the net's open, of course. But if the net's open, maybe you're just shooting it.
Right. So the second jump, once again, matches when we're making the first touch. We're using the second jump to push through the ball. And I'm noticing something interesting here. When I coach players, actually, a very common myth or mistake people will make is they'll try to take a ball like this and they won't use their jumps. They'll just try to chip it up without jumping. Why can't I just chip it up
and then jump after it?
Yeah.
Well, one, the timing is really difficult, especially on big bounces like this, like time the height of your car. Like that's about the best I can do on that usually. And that's very difficult. Plus, you're also separating yourself from the ball a lot, so you become easier to challenge. Because the types of touches you can get right after are delayed because you have to spend time aerialing back up to it. So it's more out of control. It oftentimes, like, you're just not going to be able to control exactly where the ball is going to go above you or in front of you, and you're later to it. You spend more time catching up to it, so you're easier to challenge. So it's much harder to time in general. I'd really jump into these rather than chipping it, then jumping. There's only a certain kind of ball. Sometimes I'm going to chip first. That's very niche.
Yeah, so for these big bounces, the double jump actually is more forgiving, gives you more time. Yeah, like that. I don't know how if you try to chip that ball, you hit it away too far. Sometimes you hit it too high. Sometimes you just kill the bounce. I do that all the time. It ruins it.
Yeah, you're screwed if you try to do that, usually.
Okay, I think that'll be a big unlock for people. So these chip setups, we're using the second jump to hit the ball behind. Think not under it, think not behind, think 7, 8 o'clock. And then we can continue flying. Yeah. Realistic air dribbles. These are all very nice because they're just bouncing up and down. What changes when the ball's coming at us versus away from us?
Yeah, so when the ball's coming at us with a bit more power, like this one, you're naturally not going to be able to keep it as close. It's impossible. Like that touch right there I just did is about as good as you're going to want or be able to do. Anything lighter than that, you got a God touch, and anything heavier than that is pretty common. So again, I'm using that second jump to push through contact and pop it up for myself. And I'm surprisingly actually doing an okay job at this right now. But really kind of the big thing as well is because the ball is going to push you more. You need to really make sure you're spinning in the proper way to push through contact. And this is actually going to be one of the more not outlier cases, but uncommon cases where I'm actually not going to tornado spin because the ball is going to be moving away from me after I hit it really, like, the ball's going to be pushing me back and the ball's going to be moving away from me. So tornado spin is no longer very good because now my car immediately gets faced away from the ball. And that will make me take a really long time to try to get back to it. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to inverse tornado spin. That's going to keep my nose facing forward through contact. And I'm able to catch up to it much faster. That looks like this.
And that's air roll left, joystick left?
Correct, yes. And that will fight against the ball pushing us away.
That kind of ducks.
And I was doing that, and not as an extreme manner, but even on the ones that were bouncing straight up above me, I'll go back to them for a moment. Even on the ones bouncing straight up above me, I was doing oftentimes some sort of inverse, unless the ball's right above me, then I wouldn't. But if the ball's more forward, I'll do an inverse to kind of get back to it faster versus the tornado. So if the ball's above me, which can happen on these, I will tornado to get back behind it because I need to move backwards a little bit, right? But if I hit the ball forward in front of me, I'm going to do an inverse to continue with it faster. And that's just more of a problem or need on the ball when the ball's hitting you hard, like on shot 1 here. So like that.
Makes a lot of sense. Tornado spin, when you do it from this like tornado spin takeoff, it pulls your nose back, which slows you down, but that's not good because this ball is super far away. We got to catch up to it.
If the ball's rifling forward. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so that's when we use the exact opposite, the inverse, reverse tornado spin that catches back up to the ball a little bit quicker. And then we're in a position to create.
Right.
So that's a reverse tornado. Are there any other examples in this pack of ground to air dribbles where we'll have to bring this all together?
Yeah, some will be moving kind of away from you and not towards you. Those can prove difficult. Naturally, you're going to be unable to get them as high because they're moving away from you. You're not able to get as underneath it. But what I'm doing here is about what you can expect or want to be able to do is when you pop them, again, you're using that double jump to prioritize height instead of forward, so as underneath it as you can. And usually on these that are moving away from you, you're not going to have those really lofty, nice air dribbles. What you're going to have more of is quick plays towards the net where you pop it, you get another quick touch over one, and then you're doubling. Or something more like you double jump, you get this ball, and then you're going for an air dribble bump on this guy, right? That's going to be more of your plays on these kind of balls versus the ones that are moving towards you. And then some will be moving away from you but bouncing really high. And these can prove also difficult because where your car hits them is kind of difficult to control. It's kind of hard to understand, especially at an angle like this. Like this shot's really hard to do. And the key is to try to get it as behind it as you can, if possible. Like you don't want to be trying to approach this at an angle and try to like do a perfect air roll underneath. I can do that. It's quite challenging and you don't want to be doing that if you don't have to. So instead, get behind this ball and then do that double jump into the ball as we discussed in the other ones where we're timing that double jump so that we're popping it high and forward and able to follow up on it.
So you get behind the ball as much as you possibly can, then use the double jump, then continue the air dribble. So ideally your first touch is at the net, as much as it can be.
As much as it can be. It's okay, it's a little bit off. You've got plenty of room to adjust it. But yeah, ideally it's at the net or wherever you're wanting it to go. Right.
For sure. It's almost like a little bit of power slide we're using in this case too to make that tighter turn.
I am not using power slide, but you absolutely can. I just brake and then turn because there's so much time on this to let it bounce. Oh, yeah. If I needed to get to something maybe a little bit faster, I might power slide a little bit. Personally, I don't like to do that. Not against the rules or anything though.
Makes a lot of sense. Any other ground air dribbles here? So this one we're using second jump, timing under.
This one kind of. This one's more of a mid-air catch. This is probably the hardest one in the pack. This is about timing your tornado spin underneath the ball, or I guess it doesn't technically have to be like, I'm trying to do this without tornado spin. You could technically do this without tornado spin, just kind of spin a little bit, but I find tornado spin to be the easiest on this because it kind of puts your nose in this spot. So we can tap it up and then we can continue. It's funny, the first one I did was the best one and then the rest of them aren't as good. Yeah, this one's really hard because it's both a speed thing and the timing your spin thing to hit it with your hood, because you hit it any other way, the ball doesn't go towards the net or it goes too hard a different direction. It should look more like this, what I just did there. So yeah, this one's really challenging. This one's about double jumping and then using your spin to soft touch it rather than your jump, because it's just too high to double jump into. You have to use your spin to touch it softly.
Right, and that spin reduces the knockback to some extent, which is I think probably why it makes it a little easier to do while spinning than not spinning.
Yes, yeah, the spin reduces knockback and you're kind of pushing through the ball instead of the ball hitting you. I'm really trying to focus on height on these more than forward again, because if you just try to push forward, that's what happens. So height first like this.
Makes a lot of sense.
Wow, a few good ones in a row. It's a miracle. Oof.
You did great. Honestly, this is so helpful. I think I have a much better understanding of how everything actually ties in, and every one of these examples shows a different application of the concepts we've laid out. Like it's just a bunch of permutations of all the concepts we talked about at the start, and then you layer that in with tornado spin, jump timing, and any of the other unlocks. This will be a sweet video.
Yeah, it's stacking variables as you get more advanced.
But I think that's probably the most robust explanation we've ever done of air dribble.
Yeah.